The Northwest has several landmarks that tower over the Emerald City, but arguably one of Seattle's most popular sprouted up just 5 years ago. When Safeco Field opened in 1999, it became one of the most impressive stadiums in all of baseball. At $517 million, it was also one of the most expensive. I guess you could say it all started back in 1995. Or did it? Of course, everyone remembers the M's refuse-to-lose season of 1995 that helped save baseball in the Northwest. But it was in March of 1994 that then King County executive Gary Locke created a task force to study the idea of building a new stadium to replace the aging Kingdome. Later that same year, the Mariners announced they would need a new stadium to keep baseball alive in Seattle.
Without a ballpark that enables us to earn competitive revenues within Major League Baseball, even with revenue sharing, the Mariners are not going to be viable.
At that point, Governor Mike Lowry and local lawmakers decided to step up to the plate to keep the Mariners from leaving. However, finding a way to pay for a new stadium would not prove easy. Several proposals were submitted to finance construction, but not everyone was thrilled about using public dollars to pay for a new ballpark.
I happen to love the Mariners. I can tell you the batting lineup, I follow the games. I followed the games before they started winning. But in using state taxpayer dollars, it's a little different standard that we have to weigh.
You voted by absentee on the stadium. How did you vote?
I voted no.
An initial proposal to fund a new stadium with tax increases was voted down by the people. But the Mariners' magical playoff run of '95, combined with an outpouring of public support, turned one team's stadium dreams into a baseball reality. Despite opposition from some citizens, the state legislature authorized a public financing plan, which saved the M's and altered the Seattle landscape forever. Construction finally began in 1997. In the meantime, what would Seattle call its new stadium? One idea suggested was New Century Park, but like several other teams before them, the Mariners decided to sell the naming rights. $45 million later, Safeco Field was born. But with taxpayers funding nearly 2/3 of the cost, many fans were opposed to the new name.
They have ignored the fact that we're the ones that gave it to them. And they turned around and sold it to Safeco. Like, they wanted an old-fashioned ballpark with real grass and the crack of the bat. And then they did something like so 90s as to sell out like that.
Despite all of the hurdles, the Mariners finally opened Safeco Field in the summer of 1999. And 5 years later, it has become as much a part of Seattle's culture as Starbucks or the Space Needle.
I think, anytime you build a stadium, you have the question of, how much can you bring, external tax bases outside of the city limits into Seattle?
I feel like the money was probably better spent on something else, social services of some sort.
I think that Safeco Field was worth it because it is a community asset.
For videographer Ethan Griffith, I'm Chris Cashman for The Bullpen Show.